Hi, I'm Power Monkey, and in this tutorial video I'm going to be teaching you how to make all of these doors. So in this one you can just walk through it, and as you can see you collide with the frame of the door, and then we can go ahead and click this door and then it will become semi-transparent, and then you can click again and it will close. And then we have this door over here and you can open it, and then you can close it by yourself as well, and it bounces when it reaches the end point. So this one doesn't close by itself, as you can see, it'll stay like that, it won't close. But if we go ahead and move on to this door, it will shut itself. So you can open it and then it shuts itself. There we go. So that's all the different doors I will be showing you how to make in this tutorial video. So if you're interested, let's just get right into this video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to create a door. So let's go ahead and go into the workspace and check the plus, and let's add a model, and then inside this model we can add a part. So let's just add a part. Let's rename this model door. And then let's move this part over here. So let's rename this part frame. And then let's go ahead and resize this part. You know what, let's actually call this door. And let's make it like this. And maybe something like this. And then let's duplicate that part. So let's do Command D or Control D if you're on Windows, and then let's rename this part frame, and then let's resize that part and let's move it along here like this, and maybe do something like that, and then duplicate the frame and then duplicate it again to create the top part of the frame for the door. So this is going to be our door. Well, it looks pretty big, so we can actually make that a bit smaller. Maybe something like that. And then we can go ahead and put the door like this. And then we can have a handle on this door. So let's just create a quick little handle. Just something really quickly. And there we go, that can be our handle. So let's go ahead and union this handle together. So select all the parts. So I'm doing Command and then Alt to select all the parts inside the model. And I'm doing Command Shift G to union them. And then we have a union for our handle. And then I'm going to use part color so that we can actually change the color of the union. And let's just leave it at the medium stone grey, and let's do metal. And then let's move this down, maybe like this. And then let's go ahead and change the frame to maybe wood. And then let's do a medium brown. And then let's do, you know what, let's do nougat and then wood. And let's actually change this a brown colour. So this is our door. And then let's duplicate that handle and switch it around. So like that, we have it a handle on both sides of the door. You know what, let's add windows to this door. Let's add a window like this. So I'm doing Command Shift N to negate the part, and then hold Command and Alt to select this part, and Command Shift G to union them. And then I'm going to copy a frame and switch it into this door right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and rename this glass, and then let's change the material to smooth plastic, and then industrial white, and then let's do 0.5. So it's kind of like not fully transparent, so let's leave it like this. Okay, so this is going to be our door. So maybe we can move the handles a little bit like this, and this looks like it'd be the right height. Anyways, so we're going to want to go ahead and anchor everything in our model. So let's just go ahead and anchor this. Okay, so let's create another door for another example that we're going to do afterwards. So first of all, let's focus on this door. So let's completely remove this over there, put that over here. So for this first example, we're just going to be doing a simple walkthrough, so you can just walk through the door with no issues. So we're just going to go ahead and select all the parts that we want the player to be able to not collide with. So I've selected both handles, the door frame, the door part, and then the glass. And then I'm going to scroll down in the properties and switch off can collide. So that is our first door. So if I go ahead and play the game, you will see that our player can just walk through the door. So this is our first door. So let's move on to our second door, which is this one. So let's duplicate that and bring that here. Let's change the color so that there's no confusion as to what we are using. Okay. Okay, so this is our next door that we're going to be looking at. So for this door, we're just going to want to do a simple click touch detector. So when you click the door, you will be able to walk through the door, unlike this one where you can systematically walk through the door. So let's go ahead and select the same parts again. And this time we're going to do Command G to put those parts inside a model. So let me go ahead and rename this handle, just so like that it is easier. So handle like that, and then let's change this to door, and there we go. So let's go ahead and close this one. So we're going to do can collide door, and then this one is a touch door. So we're just going to call this click part, and then we're going to want to go ahead and add a click detector inside this model. So let's go ahead and add a script inside this door. So let's do script, a server script, and then let's go ahead and get our click detector. So let's do local click detector equals script.parent, and then it's clickpart.clickDetector. So we're doing script.parent.clickpart.clickDetector. So this is our variable for the click detector. And then we're going to do click detector dot mouse click, and then we're going to do connect, and then we're going to do function, and then we're going to do player for the player who clicked the click detector. So then we can do print player dot name has touched the door. Let's create another variable for all the parts inside the click part. So let's actually go ahead and do local click part equals script.parent.clickpart, and then we can actually change this to click part because it's essentially doing the same thing. Let's go ahead and loop through all these click parts and make them not collide. So let's do for I parts part in pairs, and then we're going to do click part get children. So like that we're getting all the children inside this click part. And then we're going to do, we're going to do if part is a base part, then we're going to make it not collide. So we're going to do part dot can collide equals false. So now this will just loop through all the parts in here, and if it's a base part, then it's going to change this to can collide equals false. We're going to want to be able to detect when the door is open and when it's not, because after they've clicked once, it's going to be not can collide. So we're going to want to be able for them to click it again and then they can close the door. So let's go ahead and add a attribute inside our model. So in the click part, let's add a boolean and let's do is open for our attribute name, and then we're gonna do keep it at false because right now the door is closed. So we're going to actually do a if statement. So let's do if click part, and then we're going to do get attribute, and we're going to get this attribute right here is open. So if it's true, then we can run this code here. So let's copy that and let's paste that in here, and then we can do else and then paste the code again, but this time put true for can collide. And then we're going to want to change the attribute. So let's do click part and then do set attribute and then is open, and then you do a comma to assign the value, and we're just going to do click part get attribute and then we're going to do is open. So we're just going to add a not, so like that if it's true it's going to change it to false, and if it's false then it'll change it to true. Okay, so let's actually change the transparency so that we can change how transparent the parts are if the player clicks. So let's go ahead and do part dot transparency. So we're actually going to want to do true here and then false here, because if it is open that means that we want to close it. So we can do part dot transparency equals 0. And let's actually add another if statement in here, so because we have a glass, so we're not going to want this to go back to 0 transparency because it's at 0.5. So let's do if part dot name equals glass, then part dot transparency equals 0.5, and then we can do else part dot transparency equals 0. So let's copy and paste this into this other for loop that we made. So let's go ahead and change this to transparency 0.75, and then let's change this transparency to 0.5. So that is going to be half the transparency when they click. So let's go ahead and test the game. Okay, so let's click. There we go. The door is more transparent, and there we go, they click and the door is closed. So they click again and there we go. So that is the second door. So let's move on to this door, and this door is going to be a hinge door. So let me go ahead and duplicate that, and let's put this over here. So let's change the color of this door. Let's do use part color. And then let's change this door to this color. And let's change this color to white. Okay, so this is the next door that we're going to be working with. So let's rename this door. Let's call this door hinge door. So we're going to want to create hinge constraints. So before we do that, we're going to want to select all these parts, and then let's move them a little bit so that it'll be, let's change this to 1. So let's undo that and move this like that. And then we're going to want to create a hinge constraint between this door and this frame. But first we want to unanchor these parts. So you can either do Alt-A to unanchor it, or you can press here. So now that these parts are all unanchored, they're going to fall except the frame when we attach it. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to create a weld constraint between all these parts. So let's go ahead and put the part 0 to the door. And then let's duplicate this. So we're going to want to create a weld constraint for the glass and the 2 handles. So that's 3 weld constraints. So duplicate it 3 times. And then change part 1 to this, the glass. So I'm doing Alt because it's a model. So to select a specific part, I'm just holding Alt. And then let's do the next one to this handle. And then let's do this next one to that handle. If you're not seeing the weld constraints when you're doing this, you can just go ahead in the model tab and then you can check these on and off. So I've got all of these turned on at the minute. So now we've got our door so that the door won't fall. So let's create a hinge constraint now. So let's go ahead and go over here. There we go, the hinge constraint is over here. So we're going to do it over here like this. And then we're going to want to put it over here. So let's get the Y position of this one so that it's at the exact same height. So position, world position, there we go, 4.8, so it's at 4.8, so let's change this to 4.8 as well. There we go, so like that it is aligned. So let's go ahead and move all of this. There we go, so like that the door is all together. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at our attachments. So we've got attachment 0 and attachment 1. We're going to do command 4 to rotate the attachment. So we're going to want to rotate the yellow arrow up, and then let's do the same for the other attachment and rotate the yellow arrow up. Okay, so now let's go ahead into our hinge constraint and look at the properties, and let's turn on limits enabled so that the door just doesn't spin in a 360-degree angle. So we're going to want it to stop at -90 and 90 so that it will open 180 degrees this way and that way. So 90 degrees that way and 90 degrees the other way. And then the restitution is just if it'll bounce when it hit its point. So let's do 0.5 for the restitution. Okay, so if we actually test the game, you will see that it's probably not going to work because, let's see, so you can see it doesn't work because it's colliding with the frame. So we're going to want to create a collisions group. So go in the models tab and then over to the collisions group and click that, and then on the add group type door and then press enter, and then we're going to check off door and door so that the doors don't collide with one another. So now let's go ahead and select this whole door. So let's just do this and then shift to select all the parts in the middle. So let's change the collision group ID to 1. And then we can shut the collision group editor. So like that, these are all in the same collision group now, and we won't have collision issues. So now if we test the game, you will see that the hinge will work. There we go. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a bounce when it hits the end. Hold on, I was touching it. See, there's a bounce, and that's the restitution property inside the hinge. So as you can see, the door just stays open. So if you just want your door to stay open like this, you can leave it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this model, and then we can add springs for this model over here. Okay, so let's just change the color to, let's do a artichoke color, and then let's make the handles gold. There we go. So this is our next door that we're going to be working with. Let's actually change this to maybe let's do a light blue color, and let's change this to glass, and let's change this to plastic, just to make it look a little bit different. Alright, so let's go ahead and select this frame part over here, and let's move it away so that it's easier to place our next constraint. So let's go ahead in the model tab and the constraints tab, and then look for a spring, and then let's go ahead and add a attachment here, and then over here, and then let's do another attachment from here to here, and then we can go ahead and close this frame up. So now let's select both of our springs. Whoops, let's just command to select multiple things, and then let's go into the properties tab and the spring, and then we're going to want to change the stiffness to, let's do 2500 to see how that looks, and then let's change the dampening to, let's do 1000. So let's go ahead and play to test our door. So there we go, as you can see the door falls back on its position. So we can go ahead and hide the constraints. So if you want to go into the spring constraint and in the properties, look under the appearance and check visible off, so that when you play the game you won't be able to see the springs attached, because it looks kind of weird. So now if we play the game, you will see that the spring was no longer visible. So that is our doors. So as you can see, this one, it will stay open. There we go. And this one closes itself. There we go. And then if you click this one, you can walk through it. And then this one, you can just walk through it all the time.